I'm John Fleming. I started the BMUS historical collection in 1984. I worked with Tom Brown from 1962 for about 4 years, and then moved to Glasgow University to work directly with Ian Donald and John McVicar. Yes, we had a new professor and he suggested connection with the medical historians in the university, and I met Malcolm Nicholson, who is now director of the Centre for History of Medicine and professor of history of medicine, and for too many years we've been writing this book, which is now due for publication in March 2013. I was thinking about the imagining bit, and I thought when my son was a fetus 50 years ago, born in 61, he was just a bump in his mother's abdomen. I had no idea what he was like, but now if I see a woman walking around obviously pregnant, I visualise an ultrasound image there. It's so different, and it's become such a commonplace image. It's an image of profound impact, I think, and obstetric ultrasound is one of those sort of comfortable medical specialities where it's generally a happy situation. So on television they want to show something about a hospital, tend to focus on an ultrasound machine examining pregnant women, saying, everybody's smiling. So different today, I suppose. Yes, when I first started as an engineer, I'd never been in hospitals for any reason, really, very minor. And I met this professor, Ian Donald, tall, red-haired, daunting character. Fortunately, John McVicar was there, who was a very kind and easy man to communicate with, and I had the honour of writing his obituary recently, so he was a very nice man. That was a comfort to have him, and we would had a scanning session on a Wednesday afternoon, and I would go to the Western Infirmary and wheel this enormous machine out into the room ready for scanning, and then assist with a recording of it and setting the machine up and keeping the machine working. This was a unique machine, an automatic scanner. There's never been another one like it. It crawled across the patient. It's in the Glasgow Museum Resource Centre, along with a diasonograph. Well, it's actually a Nuclear Enterprises version, which is NE 4101, and there's also Tom Brown's 3D scanner, which produced a stereo pair of images. Again, a unique machine. Yes, storage is a problem, and being unexperienced in the museum business, yes, I'd been to the Science Museum from age, I can't remember, but I'd never been a collector, curator, coordinator, whatever you call it, and so I tended to collect everything. In a way that was quite good, because we got all the paperwork to do with the machines, which in a way are slightly more valuable than the hardware. It's useful to have some hardware to see, but after a while you've got 3 scanners. We look around just to take a glance around this exhibition, and what's the difference? It's not very obvious until you read the paperwork and, I see. These days, that one does elastography. Malcolm Nicholson, when he saw this lot, his eyes popped out and he said, there's loads of material here. And he delivered an invited lecture on Ian Donald as a moralist and diagnostician, and came back and he said, there's really enough material here for a book. in 1962, I think there were meetings of about 10 or 15 people who were interested in ultrasound. And then it became the British Medical Ultrasound Group, and got 150 people to meetings. And my colleague Angus Hall, who worked with me at the Queen Mother's Hospital for a long time before he went to St James's Medical Physics Department, to be head of that department, he was a bit more forward-thinking about these things than I was, and suggested it became a society, not a group. It sounded much better being a society. Yeah, that was interesting. I think, if my memory is correct, and yes, I need a better memory to be a historian properly, it was Henry Irving who wrote to the professor at the Queen Mother's Hospital at the time, was Ian Cameron, and he showed the letter to me, and my immediate response was, well, there's already a Ian Donald lecture, the International Society of Ultrasound in Obstetrics and Gynecology were having one. It's very, very good. So I said, well, can't it be the Donald McVicar and Brown lecture? And to commemorate really the publication of the paper in 1958 in the Lancet called The Investigation of Abdominal Masses by Pulsed Ultrasound. And that, with the crude pictures and the A scans in it, was a seminal paper. It really established that there was something in this business. But Ian Donald was very sort of cautious in the way he claimed that it was going to solve all the world's problems. Maybe with future developments and more investigation it might become a useful technique. I don't know, it's just been... I changed into this field because I got fed up with military projects and things. I'm really glad I did. And, yeah, it's wonderful working with all these people. And,